That is my son playing in the snow. He's been told, oh, there he goes. He's been told numerous times not to play in the snow. He doesn't have gloves. He plays anyways, and then cries when his hands get frozen. Look at him, his hands are already hurting. And then he gets embarrassed, so he'll just go hide somewhere and cry. Oh, he's gonna get smashed. Ooh, got him. What's up, U Factor? Today we are going to be talking about taking students with you when you do things and the importance of like discipleship and mentoring, but not just like in a one-on-one small group or like a formal setting, I guess you would say. Really more of like kind of in a casual, almost like a casual environment, taking them with you when you're doing things, 1, 2 at a time, just hanging out, real life stuff where you're not getting together for the purpose of doing like a discipleship thing, where you're kind of just, you have them there. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to look at some historical examples and results of that. I'll tell a couple personal stories from when I've done that and the results I have had. We're actually going to show you a little bit of it. Now, I didn't go out and do this for the video, but doing this with a student, I didn't even really do it with him because he's a student. It's just I'm really close with his family, and we both have the same camera, and we both wanted to go shoot some stuff. And then it was like the next day, as you'll see, because then we hit like a snowstorm. Got some snow, and I was in the house. I was working on some stuff. It made me think of it. I was like, oh yeah. I didn't really shoot much else. That's actually, if I'm being honest. I didn't have much other footage other than all this snow B-roll. I was like, okay, I can't just show like 10 minutes of Winter Wonderland B-roll. What else am I going to talk about? And then it made me realize, oh, I just went out and spent this morning with a student. I don't think of him as a student at this point. With a student, that's what I can talk about. So, made it out at Belle Isle. Never been here before. Still have only seen like a tiny piece of the island. It's not at all like Brown Island, is it? No. Like, I've been to Brown Island and I thought they're kind of the same, but people come here for photography. So I'm like, we'll go out there, you know, it must be a little better. It's like crazy. First off, it's hard to find. Like, there's this like trippy bridge, and we thought it was like for workers. We're like, oh, there's no way we can get on that. Sure enough, no, that's how you get here. And then like, when you first come in, it's like over there, but there's like this huge metal skeleton of a building. I mean, I don't mean huge like these skyscrapers, but huge as in like compared to a house. And it's like the old Dominion Steelworks building. And then there's these buildings that, like, coming from California, look to me like old turkey ranch buildings. You know, like you'd have turkeys in, but like they're prisoner camps for the Civil War, which is still insane. Again, coming from California is insane that there's like stuff here from the Civil War. Like before, it blows my mind still. But yeah, so that's what it is. It's like Civil War prisoner camp, no big deal. A couple memorials, showing the teepees they lived in, showing the big building that I'm assuming they lived in. And then there's tons of just natural beauty. We're gonna hit the rocks pretty soon, which is like a really cool area that Tyree, you guys know Tyree from the vlog, always goes to and takes pictures from on his phone and takes amazing pictures. So far it's been pretty cool. Let's see what we can find. did it. We did Belle Isle. It's over there. We conquered it. It's pretty cool. Like, we barely scratched the surface. There's tons more. I'm gonna show you guys something really quick. It's a really cool memorial right here. I got some B-roll of it, and maybe cut to that in a second. But it's like obviously power themed, little electricity things up there. Right. Well, first off, the island started off as like a source of electricity. You had a whole plant there where like water would flow through and move the turbines and produce electricity. So it's kind of like an homage to that, I'm assuming. Trains passing gas. But also right here is Dominion, which is like, well, PG&E from what I'm used to, but it's like the big power company here. But what's really cool is there's 3 names up here. One, you can see, I'll just cut to them. One is Hertz, which I'm assuming is the guy that Hertz and megahertz and all that is named after. The other is Van de Graaff.
He invented a generator.
Oh, he invented a generator. We didn't know, but he looked it up. So he did what?
He invented a generator.
Okay, so he invented a generator. On the other side, you can't see it unless you go on the street, is Tesla, which of course is like my boy, you know, Tesla. He's the one who's got me into all this conspiracy theory nonsense. So, yeah, Tesla's cool. Like, I grew up learning about Thomas Edison and thinking he was, like, as a kid, like, that's why I wanted to be an inventor and like make robots and all that stuff. I got all that from learning about Thomas Edison. I just thought he was the coolest guy ever. And then like now they're saying that like Tesla, most of what I knew about Thomas Edison, you know, minus personality, personal stuff, all of his inventions and stuff, he was more of an entrepreneur. That Tesla was actually the dude inventing all this stuff. So I'm like, huh. So a little more respect for, you know, Thomas Edison for the whole entrepreneur thing. You know, also kind of sucks that he didn't invent all that stuff as well. But this Tesla guy is pretty cool. So I've been really getting into watching lots of YouTube conspiracy theories, and I'm wondering, because they think he can figure out time travel. Maybe Thomas Edison really did invent the other stuff because he worked for him and he left disgruntled. Maybe when he did the time machine, he went back and rewrote history so that now people are saying he did a lot of the stuff Thomas Edison did.
Maybe.
Maybe. Or maybe, you know, time travel doesn't exist.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one.
Hey guys, so originally I was going to have this segment where I went and talked about the different Great Awakening leaders and how they had different younger boys that traveled with them as kind of like apprentices, assistants, traveling companions. I don't know the exact best term, but they traveled with them and then they helped them. They went from city to city, from preaching opportunity to preaching opportunity. And they were there kind of like apprenticing. Well, not exactly apprenticing, because they didn't necessarily then go up to become preachers. But the interesting thing is they ended up, many of them were actually the founding fathers. And so there was like this correlation between how they were kind of trained and taken around by ministers, these Great Awakening guys like Finley and Whitefield and all these guys. And then they ended up, you know, being influenced and becoming, you know, the founding fathers and influencing our country in such a profound way. And I was going to try to look that up and get some specific examples. I can't find it though. I'm having the hardest time. I'm going to have to go dig out my notes from the Wall Builders event where I first heard about it. One of the senators or congressmen there talked about it and showed all the slides. I believe we have notes from that. I got to find the notes. Every time I look it up about the Great Awakening and Founding Fathers, it keeps wanting to go back to the friendship slash respect between Benjamin Franklin and Whitefield. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna have to make that a whole nother video. Just know that spending time with students one-on-one, you guys know this. Now I'm kind of switching focus on this a little bit because it's been like 3 weeks since I shot that, 4 weeks. If you're a student watching or going back and watching an old episode, super important, find a good mentor. And I don't just mean like, you gotta be careful with your mentors, because the whole idea is to, I mean, you want to find a good one. So don't just grab some old guy from your church and like, oh, he's old, he should be wise. Like, if you're a little bit older and you're wanting to get married and know how to be a good husband, find a guy whose marriage you look up to. Don't just find some well-respected guy if he's, oh, his wife died 20 years ago and he's been a bachelor for the last 20 years. That's not going to probably help you out a whole lot as far as the marriage stuff you're looking for. So find a mentor. Maybe it's your youth pastor. Maybe it's an associate youth pastor. Maybe it's a senior pastor. If you're at a smaller church, you should be able to get in with the senior pastor. Maybe it's a deacon or just an older guy or girl from the church. You know, if you're a lady, I don't suggest a guy having a girl mentor and vice versa, because that could lead into some other issues. Plus, they probably will say no. 40-year-old woman doesn't want a teenage boy following her around as her mentee, because it just looks weird, and there's a lot you can't do. Versus if it's, guy, go on a business trip, he can take you with them, that kind of stuff. So find a mentor. If you're in a position of youth ministry, make sure you're always mentoring several students. Now, you can't do it to everyone, so don't go and think I mentor my entire youth group. Wrong, you can't. The average person can mentor 1.2 or 1.5, I think it's 1.2 people. So we'll assume that since you're in youth ministry, you're a little above average, and you can do at least 2 or 3, or lead, I should say. You can't have, if you have a youth group of 14, you can't be one-on-one mentoring all 14 unless that was your job but if you have a youth group of 14, you don't have an entire leader who's their only job, most likely, is just to mentor students. So this is something that you're going to have to specifically do. I really like the model of mentoring some of the older kids, or even some college kids who are like interns, maybe having one younger in there. It's always good to have like a junior high kid or something that you're mentoring. I don't know why mentoring. I don't know why I throw intern and mentor together. Anyways, point being, and then, because then they can then work with others. You can, especially if you have a couple kids who are interested in being in ministry, you can really invest a lot of time in them, and then they can turn around and invest time back in the youth ministry. But it's good, and not just good to have a few kids, and sometimes it's a problem kid you want to grab. Sometimes it's a kid who maybe is having a hard time. Maybe it's a kid you just see some potential in that maybe you don't think others see. Whatever it may be, I highly suggest that you spend some time. I know it takes extra time. I could have gone out that day, or this day that you just saw, on my own. I could have probably gotten more photos and videos taken, and just been on my own, just having my time. But then it wouldn't have been as enjoyable, and 2, it wouldn't have had that great connection with Tucker, and so I would have missed out on it. So even though I may have been able to get a few more pictures, because I could have just kind of done my own thing, it wouldn't have been as good. Just like I recently went with my brother-in-law to take some pictures that you'll see in an upcoming episode. Again, I didn't get as many pictures and video done as I would have if it was just me, but it was a much better time because I had someone there with me. So it's a trade-off sometimes. So with that, we'll do that in a future episode. Until then, peace out, guys. Be blessed. See you tomorrow.